So what does it mean that black people weren't allowed to buy property in Oregon until 1926? Well, what it means is that there is no old black money. And when you're not allowed to buy property until 1926, it's not like real estate agents were clamoring to get your money in 1927, right? So they had anti-miscegenation laws up until the 50s. And so there was no black old money in all that Hewlett-Packard money, all that Nike money. Like, it's not going to be with black people because those are businesses based, all the timber in Oregon. It's just not going to be black because the old money is real money. And so what do the good people in the state of Oregon owe to the Negroes in terms of reparations? Well, that's going to be an interesting debate, but it's only a debate you can have if you know, as an Oregon resident, that the state barred black people from buying property when all of the good property was being bought. Right? Like, there is like all the good property is gone now, right? So, or you're buying it from white people. So what does it mean with the intergenerational wealth that's going to go on in Oregon as the baby boomers die, buying property where the real estate agents literally would not sell to the Negroes, and all that family property and all that family money, pretty much. So what does that mean in terms of reparations? What do the people in Oregon owe I grew up there and did not know this. Yes, thanks, Mason Saunders. The good news is you can just Google anything I say and about this, and it'll just be right. Like, it was founded as a white utopia that they don't teach. So the people in Oregon are made too ignorant to have this debate. Like, we could figure out a solution to this, but in order to figure out this solution, we have to actually be able to articulate the problem. And the people in Oregon have to know that black people were like cut out of all of the wealth generated from Oregon over the last 20th century, right? So like, what does that mean? All that timber money, and they're currently cut out too, because now it's too expensive to break in, right? Like, you can't just buy that timberland anymore. And old money is a lot of money. So there is no old black money in Oregon, and that's everything to do with Oregon's constitution as it was founded as a white utopia. If you do not know that, you cannot have the conversation about reparations, what justice needs to be done to black people, right? And your public education needs to include that tidbit in order for me to be able to exercise my right as a citizen with you. Because without that, I have to do double duty, which means I have to both teach you and advocate for a specific position. And that's not the job, right? So, and you have to understand, compulsory education is compulsory because it's not stuff people would choose to learn. It's the stuff we teach kids that they wouldn't choose to learn of their own, right? It's the stuff that actually, like, so this argument that we can't teach kids things that make them feel bad, but we teach them calculus and we teach them chemistry. And, you know, very few people feel good doing that stuff. We teach them because it doesn't matter how you feel. We teach it because we need you to learn this, right? So compulsory education is about the things we need you to learn regardless of how you feel. But the white parents want to teach it to you calibrated to their feelings. Calibrated to their feelings. I don't want anyone teaching my kid things that'll make them feel bad, regardless of how it screws up my rights, because now they can't participate in our shared institution. And for the people who just joined, it goes back to, like I said, if I have a right to be a soccer player, but my opponent doesn't want to learn the rules of soccer, then I can't exercise my right to be a soccer player. I can't actually play the game because they're always picking it up. Like I can't play the game. Right? So I need them to know certain things in order for me to actually determine myself as a soccer player. But I don't have a right to be a soccer player. I do have a right to be a citizen. So what do I need you to know so that I can be a citizen with you? What do I need you to know so that we can organize a union? I can be a colleague with you on the shop floor. What do I need you to know about, like, the history of labor organizing? What do I need you to know about the history of race in your municipality or your state or the nation so that we can debate reparations? Because right now you don't know enough to debate reparations. And that's a problem, right? You know, my students were actually really surprised when I talked about, we read Derek Bell's Racial Realism, and an essay he wrote on Brown versus Board of Education. One, the students didn't know that so many black teachers got fired. I'm a little tired, so the students didn't know that so many black teachers got fired because of Brown versus Board of Education. Yeah, it turned out that like black teachers were overqualified because they were locked out of other aspects of American civil life. So they were teachers, they were overqualified, and they got fired with integration. Like heaps of black teachers got fired with integration. Principals then maybe became assistant principals. But like what it did was integrate like people into white power. And that was a problem. We didn't integrate school boards and principals. We integrated students, the most vulnerable people, into a system of white supremacy because we didn't want to fire a lot of white men and white ladies who were teaching. And that is a problem, right? But you got to know that. You have to know that for like, if you understand why are black people alienated from education institutions? Well, you know, they were integrated into supremacy. And that's not really particularly appealing to a lot of black youth, so that you got a bunch of teachers there who like aren't really qualified in terms of their disposition to teach these kids because they don't want to teach. Teachers can't teach what the teachers don't know, and the teachers don't know enough to actually teach the quality of racial history that black youth need. So just consider what we need you to know in order for us to even discuss, for us to participate in this, in this project of self-governance through institutions. Like, what do I need to know? And parents will say like, okay, so parents do have a say in their kids' education because they participate in the family with the students. So they have a very interested, kind of vested interest in the student's education because that's an immediate relationship. Like the kid and the parent, that's an immediate relationship. And that is, so when I teach something to the kid, it actually becomes part of the parent in a way, right? Because there's no real mediating boundary between them. So like the parents do have a vested interest in what the kids learn because of the relationship between parents and children. And that's fine. But that student isn't just someone's child. They're also someone's future boss, someone's future colleague, someone's future, person who's about to cut them off on the road. That child is also someone's future fellow citizen. So when we teach them, we can't just teach the child relative to the fact that that person is someone's kid, that child is someone's kid. We have to teach the child, there's a public interest in teaching the child that in a way that makes them that's consistent with their future responsibilities as someone's colleague, as someone's fellow citizen, and as someone's partner, right? So parents do have a say over their children's education insofar as they're parents and they're in a special relationship with that child, in an immediate relationship, but they don't have unilateral say because that child isn't merely a member of that person's family. That child is also a member of civil society, which they share with me, right? So I need that child to know things that maybe their parents don't care about them learning. But I need them insofar as we are participating in civil society. I need them to know things so that we can participate as citizens. Right? So it's not as if parents are going to have unilateral say over the child's education because the child is not merely someone's kid. They're also a future participant in this project of self-governance. Right? So I do have a vested interest in our rights and in the quality of other people's education insofar as we share institutions, and I need them to be able to substantively agree and disagree with the institution, within the institution.